The next session is a very special one for us. It marks the culmination of the last 2 days of engrossing dialogues about the vast expanse of Bengal textiles. It's also extremely special as it is for the very first time that we see legendary filmmaker and actor Aparna Sen take to the stage in her role as passionate supporter of textiles. Thank you, Aparna Di. Aparna Di has been both a friend and an avid patron of textiles. She has constantly championed Bengal's rich weaving traditions, and we are delighted that she has agreed to be part of this symposium to spotlight the power of fabric in storytelling. Renowned for her groundbreaking work in Indian cinema, this evening, Aparna Di will present evocative scenes from film Goynar Baksho, followed by an intimate discussion on how Bengal's textiles have not just adorned, but shaped characters and narratives in cinema. It has been a delight to listen to her reflecting on how the drape of a Dhonekhali sari, the texture of a handloom cotton, and the subtle elegance of Tangails and Shantipuris breathe life into cinematic storytelling, becoming silent yet powerful narrators in their own right. And we are thrilled to be able to share this joy with you today. I present to you Mrs. Aparna Sen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. To start with, of course, I have to thank Darshan for not only for all the kind words that she said about me, but for being an inspiration, actually. Darshan has inspired me to look at textiles in a way that I have never before. And I'm so proud of her for having created this symposium. Darshan, I really am very, very proud of you. And I'm also very, very grateful to KCC for having created this wonderful wonderful space for creative ventures like this one. So, Darshan, to correct you a little, I will not only be talking about Goynar Baksho, I will actually be trying to take you a little through how textiles have featured in cinema, but in a very short space of time. I hope you'll have the patience to hear me out. So I'll start with a little anecdote about myself. Many of you know that I appeared as a village tomboy in Satyajit Ray's Samapti. When he cast me as a village tomboy in his film Samapti, it was a short story written by Rabindranath Tagore. I was a somewhat anglicized schoolgirl. I used to go to an English medium school. I was studying in class 8. I had not yet started wearing saris, and my sister and I used to keep cursing each other in newly learned English cuss words. So before shooting commenced, I was asked to do a screen test to see if I really could become Tagore's Mrinmoyi. So I arrived at the studio straight from school in a frock, my school uniform, whereupon I was dragged into a makeup room where Munku Mashi, as I called Bijoy Rai, Satyajit Ray's wife, she draped a Dhonekhali sari around me, no blouse, pulled my hair into a rough bun, and stuck a nosepin onto my nose with glue because it didn't have a hole. I now have one, of course. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was stunned. I think I realized the importance of costumes in the creation of character that very day as a 14-year-old. A simple Dhonekhali sari and a nosepin had done wonders. I had been transformed into a village girl. And you will see the village girl right here. Here I am here, Soumitra Chatterjee has come to see a girl in order who he wants to marry. She's wearing a Banarasi. There I am. That's a Dhonekhali.
গা একটা গান গা আমার কাছে ওর হাতে খড়ি এখন ওই স্বরলিপিটা তুলতে শিখে গেছে এখন নিজেই গান করতে কাম একটা গান গা গা লজ্জা কি মা গা ওই যে ওইটা গাও ওই রাজপুরীতে বাজায় বাঁশি হ্যাঁ গা
She's quite a disruptive force, isn't she? Well, I guess I was a bit like that myself, a bit of a rebel. And so when I decided to, in 1980, to direct my own film, I didn't choose some subjects, the kind of films that I used to act in the mainstream cinema. I had to go and choose a story. I had to decide to write a story about an old Anglo-Indian lady. But where was I going to find this little old Anglo-Indian lady, my dumpy old Violet Stoneham? At first I thought of casting a real-life Anglo-Indian woman, But then Utpal Dutt, my acting guru, was horrified at the thought of my casting a non-actor in a leading part who would have to carry the whole film on her shoulder. So he suggested Jennifer Kendall. Now this was my turn to be horrified. Have any of you seen Jennifer Kendall in Junoon? Then you will know what I'm talking about. Straight-backed, graceful, elegant. How was she going to become Violet Stoneham? But then Jennifer took over. Don't worry, Reena, she said to me. Reena is my pet name. I can think wrinkles. I can look dumpy. I'll let down my bra straps and promise not to cheat. Then she said, wait, let me send you some pictures of how I can transform myself. And she did. I was actually filming with Satyajit Ray for Piku when the Polaroid pictures that Jennifer had taken arrived. She was dressed in chintz frocks, glasses, and a low bun. And I remember that Satyajit Ray, or Manikaka as I called him, he and I looked at the pictures together. Then he looked up, smiled, and thumped me on the shoulder, and he said, there, you've got your Stoneham. So I was very relieved. Jennifer had solved my problem about styling Violet Stoneham. But there was still one person left, that was Nandita, which was being played by Debashree Roy. Nandita, the young student, the Anglo-Indian lady's young student. So I didn't have a stylist then, no Shaboni Das, no stylist, and moreover, and more importantly, no budget. So what could we do? We had to fall back on my wardrobe, which meant Bengal handloom saris.
Got the devil on your back for what? I was just reaching him downstairs. It's unfair though. He's got longer legs. Finished writing.
This
Where
is
are
a-
you rushing off to now?
Victoria Memorial. Need a breath of fresh air. Come on, race you down.
What about these folks?
Oh, they need some air too. Come on, come on.
She's in a dhone khali, and she's in one of her chintz frocks. So, so that's how I dressed her. But what I wanted to tell you is that we see Jennifer as Miss Stoneham wearing one of her unfashionable chintz dresses, and Debashree as Nandita wearing a Tangal sari. Tangal is now part of Bangladesh, but Tangal saris remain as popular as ever among the Bengali middle class, among the Bhadralok class, the Bhadra Mohilas. So in 1980-81, even fashionable girls wore saris. Nandita was a fashionable young girl of the time, an affluent middle class girl. She wears a tangal or dhone khali cottons during the day, and at night she goes to a party wearing a red silk tangal. There she comes wearing the red silk tangal, which was also one of mine, by the way. We didn't have money for
Could
anything
I
else.
get your copy? Let's see. Oh, we've been meaning to send you a copy. Tomulesh, you haven't rung up the photographer yet.
Here, you take this one. We'll get another copy made.
Thank you.
So that's her in a red silk tangal. So tangals are so versatile. You can wear them during the day to eat puchkas at Victoria Memorial. You can also go to a party wearing a red silk tangal. In fact, you know, when I was, we all of us at that time wore saris. I went to school after, you know, not in class 8 when I made Shamapti, but later I started wearing saris, you know, white with a red border. We all wore that in college. We wore something called Begum Bahar at that time, actually. The Begum Bahar that I saw in Darshan's exhibition had a thin border, but the ones my mother used to buy, and these were about 10 or 20 rupees at that time. They had wide borders like this, and I remember they were quite fashionable because Bijoy Rai and my mother, they used to come to the shooting, to see the shooting, and they used to be wearing these saris. They had their dark glasses, they had their Begum Bahar saris which were washed with obro, with mica powder. So as they moved, it glinted, you know, they're very summery and very fashionable. And they used to have these Japanese fans, you know, which they fanned themselves with because there was no air conditioning then. So this was a combination, quite a combination, Japanese fans and Bengal handloom. But because, and you know, I still wear handlooms. As you can see, I'm wearing a handloom sari today. This, of course, is an Assamese handloom, not Bengali. But then we have to remember that Assam was once part of the Bengal presidency. Bengal, Bihar, parts of Orissa and parts of Assam were all part of undivided Bengal at one time. But since there were no dress designers or stylists when I was acting in mainstream cinema in the 70s and 80s, I had to do my own costumes. And as I mostly liked handloom cottons, many of the characters I played wore Bangla Tat. In Pinaki Mukherjee's film Mem Saheb, my character Kajol is first seen returning from Shantiniketan in a train. So I decided to dress her up with flowers in her hair, a lot of silver jewelry, and a handloom cotton batik sari. There's me in a batik sari.
না না ঠিক আছে আপনি বসুন
তা কখন হয় কতক্ষণ জানেন বলুন দাদা একটু জায়গা বলুন
In fact, if we take a look at Bengali cinema, the history of Bengali cinema, it will be a gallery of textiles from Bengal.
আগে আসতে পারলে কি আর আসতো না রানাঘাটে এসে কপাল ফিরে গেছে বুঝলে আর দিনকার ঘোরাঘুরি সার্থক হয়েছে তাই দেখ চলকের মেলা থেকে কারোকারি জিনিস আর লক্ষ্মীর পট আনতে বলেছিলে এই দেখ কেমন কাঁচ দিয়ে বাঁধিয়ে এনেছি আর এই দেখ দুর্গার জন্য একখান এই দেখেন কেমন শাড়ি দেখেন 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 আর ভাবনা কি আমি এসে গিয়েছি
Durga has died. Her father has brought this gift for her, which is probably a checked dhone khali sari. And the sari worn by Sarbojoya in this scene is a typical sari woven in a Bengal mill. Much later, in recent years, a replica of the black woven border of Sarbojoya's sari was made in a variety of colors. Here is one in red. That sari is the one in red. See that sari there? It's a replica of the sari worn by Sarbojoya in the scene that we just saw. Actually, textiles from Bengal, Bangla Tant is used liberally in Satyajit Ray's films, most of Satyajit Ray's films. Here, let us take a look at Ghore Baire, which is based on Tagore's novel of the same name. Ghore Baire, or Home and the World, was set in 1905 at the time of the partition of undivided Bengal. Here, in this scene that you will just see, Bimala is trying on a new jacket.
কিছুদিনের মধ্যে মিস দিল্লির প্রভাব আমার সাজ পোশাকেও দেখা দিতে শুরু করলো। বিদেশি পোশাক, গলায় বিদেশি সুর, শেষে আমাদের চিহ্নিত কেমন লাগছে বললে? খুব ভালো, একেবারে পটির বিবি। অনেক ভাগ্যি করে এসেছিস রে ছোট, মনে সুখে স্বাদ মিটিয়ে। বাড়ির বউয়েরা তো সুখের মুখ দেখেনি কখনো, স্বামীর মুখে দেখেনি তার সুখের মুখ। রাতের পর রাত সাজগোজ করে বসে থাকে, যদি তার ডাক আসে। যেদিন চলে গেলেন তার দুদিন আগে শিয়রের কাছে বসে আছি, জ্বরে বেহুশ, কাপড়
The than or borderless sari that she's wearing is also actually Bangla Tant.
তবু কি নিজের বউকে চিনতেও পারলেন না? তোর যে কত বড় ভাগ্য, তা তুই কি করে বুঝবি ছোট? না বোঝার কি আছে দিদি? আমার স্বামীর মতো যে মানুষ হয় না সে কি আর? এই দেখো, অনেকদিন বাঁচবে, তোমার কাছেই হচ্ছিল বটে। ফুকিরাই পুতুল খালে বলে জানতুম, এখন দেখছি পুরুষ মানুষও বাদ যায় না।
এরকম
তোমার মেন পুতুল গো, দেখছো না চোখের সামনে?
তাই বলো।
তোমার সাথে তো মেটানো হচ্ছে।
উঠান, পুরুষ মানুষের একটাও শখ থাকবে না, তা কি করে হয় বলো?
So the sari that she is wearing, Bimala is wearing here, is a Bengal silk. It's probably either
আমি দূর থেকে
Vishnupuri
দাঁড়িয়ে দাঁড়িয়ে দেখি।
কেন?
or Gorod,
দূর থেকে কেন?
which Gorod,
Acha,
contrary to popular belief, was also made in different colors, not only white.
আমাদের
We
সময়
think
তো
when we
আগুনের
think of
উপর
Gorod,
ছিল।
we just think of white sari with a red border, but you also had other kinds of Gorods. And Bimala also wears beautiful Dhakai saris. That is, Dhakai saris are still loved by Bengalis both in West Bengal and Bangladesh as a symbol of aristocracy and refinement.
এসব কি নতুন জ্যাকেট?
বলছি দিয়ে গেছি আজই, সব আমার নিজের ডিজাইন।
সে তো জানি, কিন্তু তুমি এত সব বাহারের পোশাক পরবে, আর সেটা আমি ছাড়া আর কোনো পুরুষ মানুষ দেখবে না।
আমি বুঝি রাজ্যের পুরুষকে দেখানোর জন্য সাজ করি?
রাজ্যের পুরুষ কেন? যাদের কাছে আমি তোমাকে নিয়ে গর্ব করি তাদের কথা বলছি।
আমাকে না দেখে বুঝি তাদের ঘুম হচ্ছে না?
তুমি একটা কথা জানো?
কি?
এই যে অন্তঃপুরে মেয়েদের বন্দি করে রাখা, এটা কিন্তু আগে হিন্দুদের মধ্যে ছিল না। সীতা, সাবিত্রী, দ্রৌপদী, এরা কেউই পদ্মনসীন ছিলেন না।
সে যাই হোক, তোমার বিমলা পর্দানসীন।
পৌরাণিক যুগে মেয়েরা নিজে পছন্দ করে স্বামী বেছে নিত। স্বয়ম্বরের কথা জানো তো? আসছে যে
আমার যদি
শ্রাবণী?
স্বয়ংবর হতো, তাহলে তোমার গলায় মালা নাও দিতে পারতাম।
সে তো জানি।
All right, I think we've seen enough of this. It went on a little longer than I thought, but anyway. But Bimola isn't only seen in this film. Unfortunately, we have not been able to get that many clips. But, she also wears traditional Dhakai saris. And the Dhakai is still loved by Bengalis in both West Bengal and Bangladesh. It is seen as a refinement of aristocracy and refinement. These are woven by very skilled weavers, and Malmal from Bengal was renowned all over the world, both in the ancient world as well as in the Mughal period, for its fineness. In fact, as William Dalrymple tells us in his book, The Golden Road, India used to trade with ancient Rome, where the fine cotton from Bengal was so much in demand that Rome's treasuries were emptied as a result. So much so that Pliny the Elder, Rome's naval commander in the 1st century, has been quoted as being disgusted with Roman matrons flaunting see-through clothes in public. Thus is India brought near, he says, by greed and women's decadent need to follow fashion. We today can deduce that Pliny the Elder was decidedly puritanical. And the jackets that you see Bimola wearing here, they were part of the fashion introduced by Gyanoda Nandini. She was the wife of Shotendranath Tagore, who was Rabindranath Tagore's elder brother. And she was a pioneer of cultural innovations that influenced the earliest phase of women's empowerment in the 19th century. She brought in the Brahmika, she's in fact renowned for having brought in the Brahmika style of wearing saris, which combined traditional Bengali style with elements of Gujarati and Parsi style drapes, which she came across while she lived in Bombay with her husband. And many Brahmo women, including Jyotirindranath Tagore's wife Kadambari Devi, better known as Rabindranath's muse or Bhutan, wore these saris in this style. The way they're wearing, and that's Kadambari Devi right on the right. There she's wearing saris in that fashion. That actually was the harbinger for the modern way we wear saris today. Sadly, not many fiction films seem to have been made about the actual life of weavers in Bengal, though it was such an integral part of our economy. One that comes to mind is the 1994 film Shilpi, which was made by the late Nobbendu Chattopadhyay. It was based on a story by the legendary author Manik Bandyopadhyay. Here, Anjan Dotto, who won the Best Actor Award from the Bengal Film Journalists Association for his performance, he plays the role of Madan Tanti, a weaver, a master weaver who falls upon hard times as the demand for hand-woven saris decreases with the advent of technologically advanced cotton mills and the changing taste of buyers. That's Rita Dotto Chakraborty playing his wife and announcing that she's expecting a baby. And that's a sari being woven by Madan Tanti. And here is Rita Chakraborty wearing a sari that was woven by her husband. This sari is admired by all, as you will see. See, this is the sari woven by her husband. And the fineness of the weave is very evident here. It's almost see-through. So, as I was saying, at the time that I started acting, and even when I started directing, I didn't have a stylist, but I do now, Shaboni Das. She's right here, and I will ask her to talk a little about how she sourced Bengal handloom for my films.
Before that, I'll take 1 minute to let you know how I came here to styling her film. It was early 1999, around midnight, thank you, that I got a call from Aparna Sen. She was the editor and my boss of an iconic Bengali family magazine called Shananda. I was a little worried because it could mean something, because it's 12 past midnight. Maybe something disturbing. Little did I know that this conversation would completely alter the course of my life. She offered me the position of costume styling for her film Paromitar Ekdin. That was a turning point for me because it launched my career in films. I have been a film enthusiast all through my life, but I never knew that I had any latent talent for this creative but also very technical job. She assured me that she would teach me everything about it, and I haven't stopped ever. I have worked in 7 of her films, but I would like to mention 4 films here where we used Bengal handloom extensively. Paromitar Ekdin, set in a very traditional family in the old northern part of Kolkata. Huge feminist ideas are woven very subtly into their age-old boring and in a way crude lifestyle. In this society, almost all mature women wear saris and Bengal handloom. So the traditional mother-in-law and progressive daughter-in-law wore almost the same handloom sari. In a traditional Bengali family, after her husband dies, the widowed wife wears a white sari. Here, even the widowed mother-in-law wore a woven white sari. This is when she was not, she was married. The husband
Not a
was
widow.
there.
She was not widowed yet.
She was not widowed. And the next one, see, she became widow. And that's a daughter-in-law. Iti Mrinalini, the next film, is the story of a movie superstar who could have worn a lot jazzy clothes, but her choice was classic Bengal. When Mrinalini was studying in university, she wore Dhonekhali. That's Konkona. When she was acting as a poor girl, she wore a very basic, cheap woven sari. That's from Bengal again. And of course, when she was a superstar and diva, then also she wore revived woven Bengal saris. Not this one.
No, this is from Ganer
No,
Baksho.
not this one. There is a green sari of, yeah. And then, sorry about this. Yes. This is very old Bengal handloom, revived later on. Sonata, Aparna Sen's beautiful short film on 3 female friends. All 3 are from 3 different planets. Among them, 2 of them preferred Bengal handloom. On the right, the Shabana Azmi wore very typical sari with fish motifs, and Aparna, in the middle, wore Phulia linen, which is a comparatively modern weave. Goinar Baksho is a film set in a decadent zamindar family in a small town. It was late 1940s or early 50s. I had the unlimited scope of using Bengal handloom almost in every frame. Throughout the 3 generations, they wore local Bengali saris. The widowed grandmother our protagonist's daughter-in-law, that's Konkona, and her daughter who rides a scooter and goes to college wearing a dhunia khali. All 3 of them wore Bengal handloom. An age-old fish-striped sari, this one. Since our heroine became a sari shop owner, in a later part of the film, she had immense scope to use Bengal handloom in this film, which the director will speak about now. Over to Aparna Sen.
Thank you, Shaboni. Thank you. So Shaboni has been winning awards with almost every film because now she's a stylist for almost any film that is made in Bengal. So she keeps winning the awards for styling. I'll give you a very quick synopsis of Goynar Baksho, where Shomlata, played by Konkona Sen Sharma, my daughter, is married into a family that has moved from what is now Bangladesh, that is East Bengal. They have now moved to West Bengal. And they have their zamindari, and they have their zamindari beliefs also. The men refuse to work. Men of our family have never worked for others. We are just landowners. But when she asked them, so can I see some of your land? Then they say, but it's all in Bangladesh. How can you see it? There's no way you can see it. So she comes into this family and she realizes that they're in dire straits. Because just in order to pay for the wedding, they are having to sell off their old furniture and their old, very valuable carpets and so on, while the men are fishing. So her mother-in-law tells her to take matters in hand, and she does. Now she happens to become friends with not friends initially, but the aunt-in-law, Pishima. Pishima has this box of jewels, which she values and treasures and she guards fiercely. Now, the thing is that this is intricately, this whole story and the story actually of feminism in Bengal is tied up with Bangla Tat, very much tied up with Bangla Tat. What happens is Pishima dies. Then she becomes a ghost. She leaves her jewelry box to Shomlata, her niece-in-law, in case somebody else gets hold of it. Shomlata hides it, and Pishima says, if you ever wear a single piece of jewelry, I will strike your husband down, he will die vomiting blood. I mean, she's absolutely dire in her threats. So she's very terrified. But she finds that, they are really getting poorer and poorer by the day. So then she decides that she is going to do something about it. She decides to pawn one of Pishima's necklaces, It's a jewelry box. So this is the heavy biche har that they used to wear at that time. She decides to pawn that. And that's how she gets hold of the capital for the sari shop that she's going to start. So, but they have to do everything themselves because there's nobody to help them. The husband goes and buys the clothes, then he carries this big bundle of clothes in the dead of night to the rooms, and they have to prepare everything themselves. With the money, she and her husband prepare to start a sari shop. So they're having to do everything themselves, including sewing on handwritten price tags onto the ends of the saris. Look at all the saris, and she's placing all the price tags. All the saris are Bengal handloom, all of them. So the thing is that, then she names the shop after the old aunt because she's very intelligent. She names the shop after the aunt, the widowed aunt whose jewelry she has pawned. And one night, Pishima goes to inspect the shop herself. She says, let me see what my shop is like. She's the ghost who's come, and here she's looking at the shop. This is the sari shop, and she's so happy. And one by one, magically, the saris float out. All the balucharis and the silks. She's thrilled. Pishima's ghost is delighted, and she starts enjoying the pleasures of being an entrepreneur vicariously through her niece-in-law Shomlata. Shomlata's shop becomes highly successful as she discovers her hidden talent as a businesswoman and a saleswoman. So we decided to use a form of Bengali rap, in order to illustrate how she is selling saris.
ঢাকায় দেখবে ঢাকায় জামদানি বেনারসি বালসরি শান্তিপুরি ফরাসি কামরায় বনে খালি পুরিয়া বেগম বাহাদুর বিষ্ণুপুরি হাজারপুরি খেজুর ছড়া করকে দূরে পাশা পেড়ে মানে লালের ওপর যদি কিছু এই দেখো না সিঁদুরে মেয়ে করমচালা রামা জবা ময়ূর কুঞ্জি কাটে গুনি আসমানি নীল জলপাই সবুজ নীলা করে এক তারিখা মনসে
So this is, all these saris are from Bengal. And I had actually wanted to also have some sequences where she actually goes to meet the weavers and so on. But as I told you earlier, we always have a problem with budget. So we had to cut some of those, we had to decide to do away with those scenes and go straight to the shop. So this is what she sells and this is what we did. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.